Morning.
Morning.
We'll turn to the book of John in chapter 13. Jason said he didn't know a lot of time if the lessons he was teaching was for him or for somebody else or whatever. Well, I know this sermon was for me. I've wrestled with this for 2 weeks. I thought I was going to preach it last week, but God changed that. He had some more stuff he had to whoop me with. That took a week. But whether this was for me or not, there's nothing in this Bible that you can't get something out of.
Amen.
There's something in every part of this for every one of us. God may not speak the same thing to you he spoke to me, but he will speak to you. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but this is his word. This is what he has spoken. This is what he has left for us. He left this for us to speak to us, to teach us, to lead us, to guide us, to improve us, to grow us, to change us. And I can honestly say, over the last little while, I don't know how long, it doesn't matter, but I'm being transformed by the word. I'm being changed. I'm seeing things I never saw before. I'm understanding things I never understood before. I'm seeing things in a different way than I ever saw them before. Probably most of you, I don't know about all of you, but most of you probably grew up Baptist. I knew the Baptist way. And I lived the Baptist way. God doesn't want us to live the Baptist way. He wants us to live by this word.
Sure.
And there's much that we do, there's much that we say, there's much that we've been led to believe and come to understand that really aren't what he said. And we need to let him speak and lead us and guide us. And I'm probably going to say a lot of very un-Baptist things this morning. But honestly, I don't give a hoot about the Baptists. I want to be a child of God, not a Baptist.
That's right. Amen.
I want to be a servant of the Most High God. That's what I want to be. And that's the key word, servant. Jake kind of mentioned it before we sang Just As I Am. A lot of time, we put us at the forefront. Well, yeah, we put God in there, and we give him credit, and we give him glory, and we give him honor, depending on what I get, what I see, what I receive, what's in it for me. He sang that song just before he sat down. Didn't Jesus come? Didn't Jesus walk on the water? Didn't Jesus take care of you? Jesus was all about others, not himself. You can go and you can read through how he lived his life here on earth. It wasn't pleasant. It wasn't pleasurable. It wasn't a lot of fun. He did without. He went hungry. He didn't have a place to lay his head. But regardless of all those things, I can't find one place where he went to the Father and said, I need this, and I need this, and I need this. When he went to the Father, it was on behalf of others. Always. And that's our example. And in the book of John, in chapter 13, this is very familiar. This is what we call the Last Supper. And I want to read some of this, and there's some things that God has given me that I want to bring out. And a very Baptist thing is normally when we do communion, we have foot washing. And I don't know about other denominations. I don't hear too much about it in other denominations, but it's a very Baptist thing. And we've been brought up, I'll say I, because I don't know how you've been brought up. I've been brought up to, led to believe that this is crucial, that we wash each other's feet, and it teaches us humility and servanthood. And it does. And it's a good thing. But I'm going to tell you something that I've noticed that we have done. We've made it a ritual. We've made it a ceremony. I've had some great experiences in the foot washing service. I'm telling you, I have. God has touched me, my emotions have been moved, and it was good, and it was a good thing. And I've talked to people, and from my own experience, I know that a lot of the times that happened was because I would be thinking, you know, as I was getting my feet washed, or as I was washing someone else's feet, that Christ did this for me. And you kind of get that picture in your mind of Christ washing your feet and what that does for you. And that's a good thing in its place, but here's what I want you to understand. That whole experience, that foot washing experience that I have, and getting blessed and thinking of what Christ is doing for me. Who's at the center of that? Me. It ain't about me. And it's not about you. It is in His eyes, but it shouldn't be in our own eyes. In Christ's eyes, it was all about us. That's why He came. That's why He suffered. That's why He died. That's why He resurrected. That's why He defeated death, hell, and the grave. That's why He did everything that He did for us. But He is our example. We are to be like Him. And I'll get into this and I'll try to explain it to you as we go along. And I pray you just get from it what God would have you to get from it. In the book of John, chapter 13, beginning at verse 1. Now before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that His hour was come, that He should depart out of this world unto the Father, having loved His own which were in the world, He loved them unto the end. And supper being ended, the devil, having now put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray Him, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into His hands, and that He has come from God and went to God. I want to stop there for just a minute. I want you to get this. It was the feast of the Passover. Jesus knew that His hour was come, that He should depart out of this world. He knew what was coming. He knew what was next. And I want you to get this, and I want you to get this good. It was a hard thing that He had to do. We have the account of Him in the garden where He cried out to the Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. He was in such turmoil and agony that His sweat became as great drops of blood. And you got to imagine, He's in human flesh. He feels the human emotion. He understands human fear. He understands anxiety. He understands all these things. You got to imagine, here He is, knowing what's coming next. He knows what lies up ahead. And not only does He know that, He knows that Judas is going to betray Him, one He handpicked, one who walked with Him, one that ate with Him, one that lived with Him. He knew all this. And I know I can't grasp it, and you probably can't either, but I want you to try to understand how His heart must have been breaking. How it must have hurt. And when you're down, and when you're hurting, and when you're out, and when everything is wrong, and everything is bad, and you're going through it, and you can't hardly handle it, and you can't hardly bear it. Have you ever been to that place where your sweat became as blood? That you were in that much agony, that much turmoil, that much pain. That's how much He was in. You just go as far as you have been, and you think about this. Don't you want somebody to comfort you? Don't you want somebody to care about you? Don't you want somebody to understand and to empathize with you? But listen, keep there. We're going to come right back there, but I want to jump to the book of Luke in chapter 22. Beginning at verse 22. This is after the bread and the cup. And Jesus says, verse 21, behold, the hand of him that betrayeth me is on the table, and truly the Son of Man goeth, as it was determined. But woe unto that man by whom he is betrayed. Now listen again. Get this. He knows what's coming. I read it to you over there in John. He knows what is coming. Knowing that His hour was come. Knowing what lies ahead. And this is what He knows. And it's the same thing, just a different account here in Luke. And He told them that this was coming, and woe unto the man by whom he is betrayed. But listen what happened. And they began to inquire among themselves which of them it was that should do this thing. And there was also a strife among them, which of them should be accounted the greatest. He's getting ready to go and offer himself to suffer, to be tortured, to be beaten, to go through everything that he's going to go through. And what's on their minds? Which of them would be the greatest? That's what they're thinking about. Me. Me. What's in it for me? Which of us is going to be the greatest? Here he is suffering. He's in anguish. He just went through this whole thing. The breaking of the bread and the passing of the cup. He sat there and he told him, this is my body. It's going to be broken for you. This is my blood. I'm going to shed it for you. He had told them leading up to this point, when they were going up to Jerusalem, you're going to see me crucified. You're going to see me tortured. You're going to see me suffer. You're going to watch me die. And he knows this is coming. And he knows it's just right there. It's just right ahead. And what are they doing? What's in it for me? But this whole time, he put them first. Always put them first. Putting his own self down. Putting his own self on the back burner, so to speak. And focusing on their need and what it was that was necessary for them. It goes on, it says that they had strife among them, which of them should be accounted the greatest. And he said unto them, the kings of the Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and they that exercise authority upon them are called benefactors. But ye shall not be so. But he that is greatest among you, let him be as the younger. And he that is chief, as he that doth serve. For whether is greater, he that sitteth at meat, or he that serveth? Is not he that sitteth at meat? But I am among you as him that serveth. Now listen, he's trying to make a very crucial point here. It's not about being up here. It's not about being the one that gets noticed and gets the attention. It's not about what's in it for you. It's not about what you can obtain. It's about helping others get what they need. Helping them obtain what they can obtain. Whether you get recognition, whether you get noticed, whether you get pity, whether you get comfort, no matter what happened. He said it's not supposed to be that way among you, his children, his followers. It's not supposed to be like that. You are supposed to be the servant. That's what he's telling them. We're going to go back to the book of John, back to chapter 13. Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he was come from God and went to God. Now listen, before I go on, I want you to get this whole backdrop that I just built up to this. Before he washed their feet, this is what's going on. They're thinking about themselves. They're arguing about who's going to be great. They're talking about what's in it for them. And he's trying to show them it's not about anything other than being a servant. This whole thing is about a servant with a humble heart, and it's about forgiveness. And I'm going to try to get all this out to you the way that God gave it to me. These things happened, and he said, he knew he was come from God, and he went to God. He riseth from supper, and laid aside his garments, and took a towel, and girded himself. After that he poureth water into a basin, and began to wash the disciples' feet, and to wipe them with the towel wherewith he was girded. Then cometh he to Simon Peter, and Peter saith unto him, Lord, dost thou wash my feet? Jesus answered and said unto him, What I do thou knowest not now, but thou shalt know hereafter. Peter said unto him, Thou shalt never wash my feet. Jesus answered him, If I wash thee not, thou hast no part with me. Simon Peter saith unto him, Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head. Jesus saith to him, He that is washed needeth not save to wash his feet, but is clean every whit, and ye are clean, but not all. For he knew who should betray him. Therefore said he, Ye are not all clean. So after he had washed their feet, and had taken his garments, and was sit down again, he said unto them, Know ye what I have done to you? Ye call me Master and Lord, and ye say, Well, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and Master, have washed your feet, ye also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example, that ye should do as I have done to you. Verily, verily, I say unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord, neither he that is sent greater than he that sent him. And I want to stop reading there. I'm going to back up, and I want to try to give you these points that God has given to me. This stuff was going on, and if you put together all the Gospels and the accounts, Jesus had told them he's going to be crucified. He had given them the cup. He had given them the bread, and knew that his hour was come. And then the disciples began to have strife among themselves, not concerned about Christ, but about themselves, about who is going to be the greatest. And this is Christ's response to what is going on with them. He told them, it ain't supposed to be like this among you. You are supposed to be servants. If you want to be the greatest, then be the least. If you really want to help others, then serve others. This is what is required. And he got up, and he laid aside his garments, and he took the towel, and he took a basin, and he began to wash his disciples' feet. And he said, what I do to you, you don't understand now, but you're going to understand in a little bit. I'm going to show you something, and I'm going to explain something to you, basically in my words what he was saying. And Peter said to him, you shall never wash my feet. Jesus said, if I wash thee not, thou hast no part with me. Now was Jesus saying to Peter, if I don't wash your feet, you ain't going to heaven? We need to understand, I say this a lot, we need to understand what they were really saying. We need to get into here, into the place where they were, understand what was going on and what Christ was really saying, what people were really talking about. He's not talking about washing his feet. You can live in a pig pen and be filthy and muddy and be born again and go to heaven. It's not about the dirt that was on Peter's feet. It's about the dirt that was on his soul.
Amen.
This is what he's talking about in the original language, and I know I do this a lot because we need to understand where he said, if I wash thee not, he didn't say wash in the original language, he said cleanse. There's a difference. He said, if I cleanse thee not, thou hast no part with me. He's talking about spiritual cleansing. What's that? Forgiveness. Forgiveness of sins. That's what he's talking about. If I forgive you not, if I cleanse you not, you have no part with me. Christ is trying to teach them something. Christ often used examples. You all know the parables that he used about wheat and about lambs and this and that. He wanted something they could see, something they could experience, because then it would stick. They would understand. They would get a picture and they would be able to understand it. That's why he's doing what he's doing. He's showing them and teaching them so that they understand what he's talking about. Now what he said here was, if I cleanse thee not, thou hast no part with me. Peter understood what he was talking about, because listen to what Peter said. Peter saith unto him, Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and head. Clean me up. Make me wholly clean. I want to be washed so that I do have part with you, so that I am not dirty in my soul, so that I don't have that dirt on my soul, so that I can have that thing that you have offered to me. And Jesus saith unto him, he that is washed, that word should be bathed. That's what it meant in the original language. He that is bathed needeth not save to wash his feet, but is clean every whit, and ye are clean, but not all. Now listen, he that is bathed needeth not to wash his feet. What that would say, the way that we talk today, he that is bathed needs only to wash off the dust from his feet. Now listen, in the spiritual, Christ is giving them a spiritual lesson. He ain't telling them that they have to be spotless with, the wash rag and the soap and clean yourself up. He's saying, if you are born again, you are bathed. And he that is bathed doesn't need to get bathed again, but he needs to wash the dust off.
Right.
Now listen, back in this time, they traveled around on dirty, dusty roads. They wore sandals, and it was a common custom that when you would go somewhere, the servant would wash your feet, because you had gathered all that dust. Animals walked the street. You had all kind of stuff on your feet, and it was custom that the lowest of the low servants would be the one who would come, and when you entered in, and they would wash your feet, because walking through there, you would collect dirt on your feet. Well, I'm going to tell you something. You may have been born again, and you may have been cleansed, and you may have been cleaned up and made clean, but when you walk through this world, you get dirty feet.
Amen.
And you have to be washed. And listen, what Jesus said to him, he that is clean, cleansed, he needs not to be totally cleaned again, but you got to get the dirt off. You got to be forgiven of that thing.